Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network. Hi, this is Amit Doshi, and I wanted to thank each and every one of our listeners. It's been 2 years since I founded IVM, and it's been an amazing 2 years. We wanted to learn a little bit more about who is listening to our shows, and so we put together a short survey. The survey is anonymous, and we aren't going to be collecting any personal information. I would really appreciate it if you could take a couple of minutes out of your day and go to ivmpodcast.com/survey and fill it out. Thanks, and please keep listening.
Hello, you nerds. This episode, I'm joined by Geek Fruit editor Siddhant Mehta and our podcast producer Navin Noronha as we talk about what is already one of the best films of the entire pantheon of the superhero genre. We're talking about Logan, Hugh Jackman's swan song as the beloved X-Man Wolverine, in a finale we weren't emotionally ready for. This week on the Geek Fruit podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Geek Fruit podcast. Very weird one. It's like we have our own Days of Future Past timeline confusion going on. We have on the show today two producers from different timelines in Geek Fruit's own past. We have Siddhant Mehta, ex-producer of the Geek Fruit podcast.
That's true. I was a producer on
and
the
now
podcast.
And now you're editing the website, so that's great.
I'm back, yeah.
Yes, so that's great to have you back.
Left and came back.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. And we have Navin, our current producer.
Yes.
And
I currently produce this thing.
Yes, exactly. And so it's an interesting one. We have our own. There were so many different ways to introduce this episode because I was like, there's so many things to talk about in the X-Men lore, on the franchise, on cinema, Hugh Jackman, blah blah blah. But this
trumps it all. I think this is far more important.
Let's reboot, guys.
Yeah,
and then after we'll reboot. But yeah, so like I was just mentioning, we have a very interesting episode. We get very few movies these days which actually reach the potential of what we hope it to be. We've had a few of those in the Dark Knight films, the Dark Knight trilogy. There are other movies. Civil War really did reach a level, just really good script writing and storytelling that really excited me as a movie watcher and as a fan. But I think Logan, right off the bat, I'm just going to say that it is an exceptional movie. I really enjoyed it. We're going to get everybody's views on it in a bit because there's a lot to talk about. But I just want to know, what do we even start with? I mean, this movie, for me, why it affects me so much is because of Hugh Jackman, obviously.
Yeah.
So Hugh Jackman, if this was a standalone movie who just came out now with any actor, the story is good. There is no doubt about it. And we'll get into that properly. But I think what really makes this work, apart from Hugh Jackman, also Patrick Stewart, but these two characters...
the whole cast.
But these two characters in particular, because they've been there in the whole of the 18 years that we've seen this whole saga unfold with its many discrepancies and timelines, everything.
We were talking about it earlier and it didn't hit home till you said.
Yeah.
No, actually it was Dinkar who said this.
Yeah.
He's like, this movie has got people who probably are adults.
Yeah.
Right now,
I didn't say that.
They were children, because we were remarking on how this is an adult or R-rated movie, and that's quite a departure from X-Men as a whole. But if you started out being a baby when the first movie hit,
if you were even zero in 1999
then
or 2000,
and now you're 17 or 18,
you're an adult.
You're an adult. You can do it. You can go watch it.
Yeah.
You can progress.
I was like 10 years old when I watched it.
And they also have the luxury of knowing which movies are bad in the whole series.
Exactly.
This is true.
And skip them as well. We had to really go to theaters and watch these movies.
We do.
True.
Yeah.
No, but so we've had so many movies. There was a great video which I feel like we should tag people on our Facebook page. But it was a video of this YouTube channel I was just telling you about called Cinefix, and in that it was literally a dude, like one of the staff writers who's a nerd, and he's basically just taken a whiteboard and is explaining the entire timeline. And there are so many glitches in that itself.
It's so true, because the real problem here is the Wolverine spin-off franchise was so disparate
Yeah.
Like, they knew he was the best guy.
Yeah.
And people have always said, like, after Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, like, the fourth or fifth guy on that list is Wolverine.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, people know
definitely
Wolverine more than
yeah.
everybody else.
And it's only Hugh Jackman who's made him like worldwide
Yeah,
famous.
I think so,
It's-
definitely. But
it's big part
he
of
was
it.
huge. I
In
mean,
the
the
comics.
X-Men
Yeah.
was huge in the 90s, right? They
Yeah.
had the Saturday morning cartoon when Fox.
Yeah.
They had
His
the
costume
best
stood
sagas.
out.
His
It was all
costume.
there.
And he
It
was
was
a
all
cool
there.
guy. Like he was
Yeah.
he was an anti-hero.
Yeah.
And you know, they even like most of the reason why they greenlit the film is because they wanted to get Wolverine on screen.
Exactly.
And they did that, and they were like,
And-
okay, cool. Now that we've done with X-Men, we can do
Yeah,
our
we
Wolverine.
can do
films.
Wolverine. And then it was such a letdown.
It was a full
The
disaster,
first one,
that's for
Wolverine Origins, was painful. And subsequent films have had to take such different directions just to make peace with the
Yeah, and I
rest
think
of us.
with every
you know?
franchise that came after Origins, they were like just trying to find their voice. Right?
Yeah,
it's so
so
true.
it just
Nothing's
kept
happening.
going in
And they
various
did
ways.
it well. I think the first X-Men trilogy, I mean, we had those first two films. The second one is probably my favorite, the one at Alchemy
True.
Lake.
Yeah.
But again, a completely Wolverine-oriented story.
Completely.
And you know, hints of the whole Phoenix saga. But the second trilogy that came out, which was kind of in between also the Wolverine's solo trilogy, but the First Class which came out, the
Yeah,
First Class
that was
movie
such
came
a good
out,
movie.
that was
Yeah.
excellent.
Such a
that
good
was
movie.
like one of the better superhero films I've seen generally.
But then here he is. Hugh Jackman, though, is the common thread. Nobody else is. Not
Yeah.
even Wolverine himself is the common thread.
No,
Hugh
Hugh
Jackman
Jackman.
is in like all of these movies as Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
That's actually true. Is there no other actor who's played the same role across all these 9 films?
No, they have. Like, they acknowledge Patrick Stewart at some point in Days
In
of
Days
Future
of Future Past. Fair enough. No,
and
but,
that's
like,
fine.
still played by two actors,
But Hugh
right?
Jackman is in everything.
Yeah.
He is in everything as Wolverine. There is no other Wolverine.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't say that James McAvoy
Yeah.
and Patrick Stewart are Professor X. And you can say one is and one isn't also.
Yeah.
And you know, it depends on who watches
That's
what.
true. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
true. And there are a lot of people who may have come into these films even just watching, you know, the McAvoy Fassbender
Exactly,
series.
exactly.
So yeah, so even they still know, like, oh yeah, there were these movies before.
Yeah.
And you know, we have Wolverine who's still
Yeah,
connecting
but
those dots.
you have Hugh Jackman in 9 movies.
Yeah. You know what I love though?
Yeah.
It's so funny that these movies, and they're so randomly placed in the timeline. It's very difficult to explain to somebody
Yeah.
who's just coming into it. And you know, you'd think that's exactly what happens in the comics, right? That's why they
Yeah.
have to keep doing reboots and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And they keep rebooting it and trying to find, you know, a good starting point again, and then 10 years later they have to do it again.
Sure.
And I just love that even though they had only 9 pieces of story to tell,
Yeah.
even they managed to screw that up as well.
They just went for it,
I love it.
and anything happened.
I love that.
Wolverine itself
Yeah.
has no timeline.
Yeah.
Like the Origins was another timeline. The Wolverine was
Yeah.
a totally different story in another timeline.
So just to kind of let's us enter that timeline a bit, okay? So
Yeah.
as far as I know, in my head, there are 2 timelines, right?
Yeah.
There's everything which happens until Days of Future Past, right? Which includes X-Men Origins, which kind of goes back, predates him to like 1843 when he was
Sort
born,
of, yeah,
and
yeah.
things like that, and kind
Yeah.
of goes sees him in the Civil War, in the World War II, where he actually saves.
That is the most interesting part of the movie.
I love
that.
In general.
I love that.
The
That was-
whole montage.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And then we come to the Wolverine, which is the only movie which is set after X-Men: The Last Stand.
Yeah.
yeah, let's go with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and because he still sees, you know, Phoenix in his dreams and things like
Yeah,
that, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
yeah.
And then we have Days of Future Past, which is almost like the producers trying to say, hey, we screwed this up. Sorry, let's just change the game.
Although Tejas, that might be a bit harsh because it is Days of Future Past. I mean,
That's an amazing storyline.
aside from House of M, Days
Yeah.
of Future Past is the biggest X-Men story. It's like
And
saying
it's so difficult to adapt in general. I
It
feel.
is. It's a
Yeah.
difficult story,
I'm
but
waiting
if you say like
Yeah.
X-Men classic arc offhand,
Yeah.
one
That
of the 3
and
is Days
Phoenix
of Future.
and the Dark Phoenix
Yeah,
saga,
and Dark
yeah,
Phoenix,
yeah.
Days of Future Past, Apocalypse
Apocalypse,
himself.
it is a great
So
saga.
they went for the greatest hits.
Yeah.
It's just that it's very difficult to contextualize all of this.
It's difficult, yeah, because they don't, half the rights they don't have for
Yeah.
so many of the people, because half of them in the Marvel Universe, so which belongs to the Marvel Studios now, so that's very difficult.
Yeah.
But just within this whole complicated timeline, we still have this one guy who's just kind of, it's almost like a metaphor for itself, like that this guy's seen the entire saga through like
Yeah.
some really shit times,
and it's
the
driven him
good
to drink.
times.
Yeah.
It's driven him to drink, guys.
Yeah, it's great, and you know, and we finally have him here in Logan. And I was just watching a couple of interviews, and he was just like, you know what, I was talking to the producers. We were wondering how to do this, and we were just like, hey man, I really want to get it right this time. It's like we don't have that conversation before all our previous ones, but he was so adamant about the fact that but that he really wanted to do it right, like in the fashion that it's done in the comics.
And, actually, this story in itself, the fact that everyone thought that there's no way they're going to make another Wolverine movie.
Yeah.
He kind of said it himself.
Yeah. He did. So many times he was in and out of the thing.
He's like, I'm not doing it. And then, I don't know what awoke in him, but he wanted to go ahead and make it again so that he could have he could say goodbye to the character.
That's so true.
And that's such a nice story. Hollywood left room for sentimentality in this.
It's it's a weird meta thing almost. Yeah. It's like this is how he wanted to do it. And James Mangold, not even taking any credit away from him, he's written the story and the screenplay. He's done a great job. In fact, by the way, though, Hugh Jackman actually came up with the basis of the idea of this film. Apparently, he had it in a dream. I can't remember who was
Shane and some other movie.
And Unforgiven.
He wanted to make a mashup of these movies.
Yeah, and the rest are
because Shane is referenced in the movie as well.
Of course, Shane is in the movie. Yeah. But I think
I still don't know what that movie is about. But I'm gonna.
It's roughly the same story.
It's a gunslinger trying to quit his old ways
it's exactly this. And there's a kid in that.
I saw that scene.
It's an old western, and then these guys are still trying to run the village amok, and he comes back and he's
Sorry, before we even get into any next part, I just want to say spoilers, guys. We're gonna spoiling this whole franchise, the previous franchises, everything.
We love this. This is what we live for.
As well.
Yeah, spoiling this.
So just to encapsulate this, Hugh Jackman is awesome.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart is awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
I don't know. What do you think? Why do you think they decided to just call only him back from every other movie as a principal character in this film?
It makes sense always because ever since the first time they met, right?
Yeah.
And Stewart is the only one who, for example, Professor X back then, he's the only one who saw some good in him. Everybody's just been this guy's a vagabond, he's a waste of a person, and he's a violent person. But Stewart saw some good in him. And even now, if you see, there's a voice of consciousness he is throughout the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
That he's I'm a drunkard, I'm dying now. But Stewart is you have some good left in you.
Yeah.
I think that's what is the main
I think
role.
that is.
And from a Hollywood executive point of view, he is easily the biggest name.
This is so true.
Okay. And B,
I think between Hugh Jackman is definitely a bigger name now.
I'm saying from the rest. To call back from the rest of the cast. You're not calling Famke Janssen back.
Yeah, definitely.
So you'll call him back because he's the biggest name. But very importantly, he is so Professor X. It's impossible now. Yeah. I can't see Professor X without it being Patrick Stewart,
that's true, yeah.
So that's how Ian McKellen is Gandalf.
Yeah.
It's over now. Yeah. So it worked on so many levels. You just have to do it. It's such a sure shot win.
And I think another thing which we'll just get in. Let's get a little bit into the story.
Yeah.
One scene which I particularly enjoyed, and which is why probably they wanted to get this thing. There's a lot of. Goes without saying this whole story is about life and death and things like that. But I think a big part of the story is about family, and Professor X kind of represents the only kind of father figure that he has.
Yeah, even though he's not his father or younger than him.
At all, yeah.
At 80 years younger than him.
Yeah, but he's wiser than he'll ever be, right?
Exactly.
But and the fact that I think they needed to balance that out with this child coming into the story who's X-23.
Yeah.
So they wanted to I think they needed another figure to kind of just have this family dynamic of daughter, son, and
they refer to it directly.
Yeah, they do.
To it directly.
I loved it. I love that one scene in that house.
Yeah.
At least the way it begins is so special. And they're making jokes on the table they're almost speaking to the audience, right?
Yeah,
it's he says, I'd love to call you my worst people, but I think it'll make me choke or something along those lines. And everyone's laughing, and we were also laughing not because it's meta funny, it's because it's just you're laughing with the family joke.
Yeah, something good is happening to these guys.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
But knowing the movie, you'll be this is going to shit soon.
Immediately, But you get another side of Professor X also in this
because of the R-rated thing. Because he's allowed to abuse.
Yeah. No, and not just all that. I think he also, they say, this is the man with the most powerful brain that has a brain, is suffering a degenerative brain disease.
Yeah.
And you can see that this is yet another character, a hero character, that is dealing with a huge amount of regret.
Yeah, this is so true.
And this man was the linchpin of a revolution of sorts.
Yeah.
In the world, and it was supposed to be a force of good, and he went and did something and had to be taken away, and he wants some small victory back.
Yeah.
Everybody knew staying in that house would go to hell, very soon.
Yeah.
He knew it. Logan knew it. the kid, well, she doesn't know. She doesn't have to know it.
She doesn't have to know it, yeah.
But everyone knew it was going to go to heck, and it did.
It
but
does. Oh my god, in such a way.
And you know, the
He
guy
probably prefaced the whole script.
Exactly.
Just like we have to give him a brief about.
Exactly.
So let's
do that.
Let's do that. Let's talk
that.
about the very the bigger plot points in this film.
Yeah.
It starts. I mean, the movie is set in 2029, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So this is like, and the you know, through news clippings or through, you know, TV anchors and stuff, you can hear that there's been no new mutants since 2009, say.
Yeah.
Right?
And the last ones, Professor X probably destroyed with his brain.
Yeah. So the last few.
aneurysms.
So I think that's something that's taken from the comic because I mean, that's something that Wolverine does in Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
In Old Man Logan, he basically is confronted by Mysterio, and he ends up killing everybody in the X-Mansion, but he realizes that it's all the X-Men instead.
Yeah.
So I think they've just transferred that little plot to Xavier to give him some more like gravitas.
I mean, they keep doing this. House of M was straight daddy, no more mutants.
Yeah,
Boom,
exactly.
99% of them are gone.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that was a smart move for them to do. So it gives some gravity to Xavier's character. You know, you feel like pity for him as an older man. Logan himself is trying to just, you know, basically keep it together. He's an Uber driver of some sort.
Well,
like,
the Uber of limousines.
Yeah. So like he's like the
Yeah.
Uber prime.
Prime.
Yeah. So he's a limo driver. He's trying to collect some money so that they can buy the Sunseeker, which is a boat, so they can go out and live on the ocean where they don't have to live in America anymore. So so that's the plan roughly for him. I mean, he's still taking care of Xavier like he's his, like literally like is his dad, and you know he's ailing and stuff like that. The third character who is there in it was pleasant surprise, as you mentioned, Stephen Merchant, who plays Caliban, who we saw again in Apocalypse, was played as a younger guy by somebody else.
Total badass over there.
But Stephen Merchant adds a whole lot of empathy to this role because it's Stephen Merchant. This guy is like a giant, and they've given him such a kind character to play. So I think that worked perfectly.
The frustrated nursemaid character.
And he plays the role like to a T. He's perfect in that role.
But bad makeup though. At some point I noticed like the white paint.
Yeah,
I
did see that also.
Come on,
I did see
high
that.
budget and then
So he plays Caliban.
थोड़ा touch up करना पड़ेगा यार बस.
Like उसके नाक से snot निकल रहा है. You can see the spot.
You could. That's also what I looked at. But I think I first thought of that and I was like, oh, it's because they exposed the sun. Blah blah blah. Anyway, coming back to the story. So the main point of the story is that a girl whose name is Laura comes into the hands of Logan to kind of
Laura.
Laura.
As the Mexican
Laura.
And I'm like just
thinking of other things.
Yeah. So Laura's you know, the moment they say Laura, it's obviously X-23. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but Laura is Laura Kinney from the comics, who plays X-23, is his daughter, a DNA clone of her. I mean, like, she's a Petri dish project.
Basically, she has two claws on the top, and she's got foot spikes.
A very famous character was introduced actually in an animated cartoon, which is X-Men.
She went the Harley Quinn route.
Yeah, exactly. Very true. So she was introduced there, then obviously brought into the comics, and they brought her into the movie now, which is actually, that's pretty insane, right? I'm so glad that cartoons are getting there.
Yeah,
I mean, Suicide Squad, but but I'm just glad that happened. So X-23 comes into the, you know, responsibility and care of Logan, who then has to kind of transport her to a place which he doesn't fully believe exists.
But Tejas, this is something really important to me. You know me. I try very hard to not find or look at any kind of publicity or literature to do with movies.
Right.
So I didn't see anything. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this was an adult R-rated movie.
Okay.
So you know, we were watching the thing. She's reached the
first frame though. Like you get the gist of.
I kind of missed it. I kind of missed the first minute and a half.
His first words in the movie is like, oh, what the.
So I missed the first couple of minutes, and then I walked in, and so they have her at the base, sort of base area, and everyone's caught outside, and those guys are gonna go in and extract her, and she's eating cereal.
Yeah.
It's actually way into the movie. It's not 2 minutes.
No, I missed 2 minutes.
Okay.
So I didn't know it was an R-rated movie. So I thought, okay, they'll get her whatever. Oh, she has some crazy power. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And then she walks out, and
With the
throws a human skull on the ground.
And what a great looking skull too.
Amazing.
And my mouth literally, my jaw dropped, and I looked to my friends, and we couldn't believe what was happening.
Yeah, it was insane. It was intense, right?
From the badassery, dude.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Mad.
Wow. And I was like, this is unreal. This is going to be a hell of a ride.
Yeah. So I think that's one big part of the movie. Actually, let's talk about that. We reached the point in the story where, then it continues from there and then. But the brutality of this movie is, obviously it's matched fairly equally with all the, the poignant moments and, the real sadness and regret that you can see physically in the characters. But the brutality of this movie is intense.
It's how I always envisioned metal claws would go through a human body and tear the skin apart.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. And I was like laughing with joy.
Yeah.
It's an evil thing to do, but then
No, but that's the thing. It
in the
can
comics,
only be a
what it
visceral
was.
reaction.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have like a constrained reaction. You can only like go, what? Or, oh yes. Or, you can
Finally.
only
Dude,
lose your
finally,
mind.
yeah.
Because it's such a release. And at the same time, you're thinking to yourself, what is happening? Because you've never seen him do this.
You've only seen
This is 8 movies now where he's not done any of this.
No.
Yeah.
And suddenly
it's all
he's
clean,
carving
3 dots on your body where the claws go in. So nice, so prim.
Yeah. He's carving up these guys
his
like their
left,
dinner.
right.
Like
Oh my
My
God.
favorite scene, like, it's in the very first frame again as he's beating up the Mexican thugs.
Yeah.
And his face, so he opens his claws inside the guy's face and tears half his face apart. Right?
Yeah.
So you
Wow.
can see the blood and
Insane.
sinew inside.
Yeah, I missed that part.
Detailing, but
Yeah.
like,
Insane.
the way he tears his face apart, I'm like,
But
what
it
is
was
this?
so good.
Yeah.
And I can't help but wonder if 20th Century Fox was like, this is what we had to do for the last 8 movies.
Yeah.
Damn it.
That's something we have to talk about.
We'll get to that. Let's take a short break, come back, talk a little bit more about the story, the actors, and a little bit about the future of
But
Wolverine.
before we go for the break, if the movie had gone bad, what would Hugh Jackman say? This franchise gave me cancer.
Whoa.
It's only little cancer. It's little baby cancer, guys.
Finding the right drink at the right place can be a big challenge. Exploring a new destination to its fullest could be a daunting task.
So tune in every Friday and listen to the Drinks and Destinations podcast with Rajita and Samira, who introduce you to the world of fine wines, beer, spirits, and travel.
You can subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Audio Boom, or any other local podcast app.
Cool, we're back. We're talking about Logan. And we kind of left off where we were talking about some of the brutality of this movie, which is pretty mad.
Couldn't get over it, man.
Yeah, I need to watch this movie again because it's like straight
definitely.
through the entire movie. And I've never seen a movie where, I can still, sometimes I see movies and I'm just like, wow, this movie's too brutal for some people to watch. But I'm still urging these people, go watch it because it's perfectly matched with the, the essence of what this movie means.
It's funny you should say that some people shouldn't watch this. So I was watching this at Sterling Cinema in Mumbai.
Yeah.
And there were actually toddlers and children in this.
Who let them in?
I don't know.
I mean, it's
and they
an
must have
8
thought
I had grown-ass women in my theater going...
Yeah.
I'm like, just don't watch it.
Yeah,
go.
but then these kids started howling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is scary. If I saw
It is
this if I was
terrifying.
5, I would lose my mind.
Welcome to the real world,
Yeah,
bitches.
But it's scared. It's proper scary,
Let's
man.
talk about one of my,
Yeah.
I think what I thought was the most terrifying scene in the whole movie, which strangely reminded me a lot of like The Walking Dead or, actually this whole movie reminded me of this game called The Last of Us. I don't know if you It's got that full...
It's got that vibe.
Same father-daughter
sort
kind
of low to the ground menace.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a zombie movie, which actually you can easily relate this to because the way people are hacked off in this, it's equivalent to that.
Yeah.
So this is a scene in the movie, somewhere in the middle of the movie, where they're still on their way to this place called Eden, which is where Logan is supposed to literally just drop this girl off.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even believe it exists. He actually sees it in a comic book.
That's great Uber service, though.
Yeah.
Lamba bada.
That's like the outstation
Go all the way.
Logan. Yeah.
He did get quite a raise for it, though. So,
This is true. And he also
he
but
did,
anyway, okay, but we'll just get to that. But the one scene in the movie where they stop off in the middle of their journey because they help this family kind of in a bit of a traffic accident, and they offer to kind of help them pass the night and have dinner with them, and they go and they have this lovely moment inside their house.
Yeah, everyone's laughing. It's like nice joke.
it's
banter.
It's great. And you know what? That's why it reminded me so much of Walking Dead, because shit's about to go down.
Yeah.
And so
it's
basically,
the classic Game of Thrones formula as well.
Exactly.
I mean,
It was
we
very
talked
good.
about
There's a
it
wedding.
earlier.
Oh, there's a wedding. Oh, wait, what happens after the wedding?
And that's a good situation because like I was saying, Xavier knew what he had done, and he turns around to confess, I knew I messed up. I only wanted to do all these nice things for you and have a good moment. I just wanted a nice moment. And I was like, wait, that's not Wolverine. That's not Wolverine.
It's not
That's not Wolverine.
Yeah.
Boom, gets stabbed.
Yeah. And that's how Charles Xavier bites the bullet.
He bites the claws.
He bites the claws. So basically, what happens in this little sequence is Logan goes out to help the patriarch of the family with some hoodlums and some real estate issues.
Yeah.
And while he's away, we see that they're on their way back, but we don't actually fully see this moment where Patrick Stewart is like in his bed and he's saying, let Laura sleep for another hour and then we leave.
Yeah.
And you see the shadow of somebody enter the room who you think is Logan, but it's not Logan. I mean, it is the clone. The DNA
We'll get to that.
Who's X-24, who's the younger, not as durable as the original Logan. He needs a serum to kind of put himself back together. He's a clone.
Yeah.
And but basically that version of Logan puts an end to Xavier and then proceeds to literally desecrate the entire house and kills off the entire family in the most brutal fashion. Logan himself enters, can't believe his eyes. It's a brutal scene, man.
But hashtag Black Lives Matter.
Hashtag Black. Yeah. I think this also, you can philosophically say why this one could be weaker. It's kind of like Wolverine's other thing is he just is a all-in kind of guy. So if he wants to heal up faster, he heals up faster.
Yeah, he can do that if he chooses.
His like will to live is as strong as the healing factor. If you really think about it. This guy,
in fact, that's his only real mutant that's power. Right? I mean, the adamantium claws were put on later on because he had this.
That's what they allude to. So they wanted to make X-23 to become the ultimate Wolverine, so that they could sort of coach her into doing, nurture her to become a killing machine, but they couldn't do it.
So that's why they say that they needed. You can't inculcate rage, is what they said. Yeah, so they have to.
And I don't know where they found this magic rage. Maybe they found it in 28 days later.
They're just like, you have to design it. So let's just talk about this whole. So this was my only thing in the movie where I was just like, oh, okay, that's interesting
and convenient.
Sure. But I was okay with it. Like, I was totally fine with it because it was genuinely terrifying. And the only person who is a worthy adversary to Logan is
Logan
himself.
And it's not just Logan, right? It's Logan and baby Logan.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's old Logan who's got not everything, and baby Logan, you don't give anybody else a chance except actual Wolverine, because it's clearly not Logan.
Yeah, that's true.
And
what I found really, I mean, it actually, that second figure alluded a lot to Dakin. Dakin's the character, his son, who's again, who he has with, I can't remember who he has it with in the comics, but his look also kind of reminded me a lot of that. So he was going to be an evil one. The moment you look at him, the way he's designed, the way his hair's cut, it's just like pure evil. And that scene where they have to just basically leave this whole farmhouse was just madness.
Edge of the seat kind of stuff.
Yeah,
man,
it was mad. I couldn't. My hand was over my mouth. I was just like, I can't believe this is happening.
The thing with the violence is that it was just not even efficient. Like when those other guys in that posse came around to lynch the black man. This Wolverine literally cut them up in small pieces. He took time. He'd stab one guy, stab the other guy, come back and stab the first guy.
This was not even like stabbing. This was like chopping up people.
Tells them a new one and then some.
Like he'll go kill a bunch, he'll go stab everybody, come back and stab the other guys again to make sure they're double dead.
It was.
But that also made sense in the grand arc of the whole story. The fact that they had to raise all these kids as mutants and give them powers from other mutants from before, but they were still humans at the end of it. They still had a human aspect, and that whole poignancy of that scene was very, like, it hit me a lot because he's watching these videos, he's watching these kids getting tortured, and that's old X-Men motif as well. If you go back all the way to Last Stand as well, this kid is kept in the room.
It's exactly why there was a Xavier School of Gifted.
It's to avoid human trafficking, pretty much, right?
And generally that the main thing here is just because you have powers doesn't mean you can be a superhero.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, you have to be taught these things.
I mean, or you have to have had a crazy life like Logan. You know, he's
self-made.
Nothing in his life though has been of his own like choice. You know, he's just like had shit happen to him because he has this fantastic like power, but he's the only one who's survived. You know, he's like a survivor. That's
because like I said, it's his will to live is so strong. It's such a driving force in him. I think it amps up his healing factor. I mean, look, we'll give it suspension of disbelief and any other movie trope you talk of, but the guy got stabbed a bunch of times when he shouldn't have been able to heal. He healed.
You know, because he can regenerate from a single drop of blood also.
But this is the thing, like, this version of Wolverine that we saw is the old version that he has. The adamantium is poisoning him. He refers to it a bunch of times. He should not be able to do what he used to do. Yet he pulls it out time and again, like a last-minute sort of hero, and just gets it across the line. It's such a terrible
thing. He's a full hero, man.
Even the pulling out of the claws, right? The third claw is stuck inside, and he's pulling it out of his hand. That's painful. You can see the pus in his fingers.
And you can see, like, he's basically cutting himself while pulling it out. Oh my God, it's nuts.
And then taking on the best version of yourself with full peak power and having the fortitude to say, you know what, I'll win. You know, is amazing.
That's the other thing about Wolverine. Like, I don't know if you remember, this is all the way back in the first film also, when, you know, Rogue asks him, he's like, does it hurt when it comes out? And he's like, every time. So it's not like his healing powers like making him impervious to like pain.
No, not
he's
at all.
in pain a lot, and he's just like used to it. He's like, oh well, this is what's gonna happen now.
And like, never since the first movie have I ever like marveled at the claws coming out. Because the first shot is him.
It's that awesome. In the bar,
That's
you
true.
see the hand tearing and the claws coming out. And in this movie they do the same thing again.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But it's more painful this time. You can see them
way more painful.
Yeah.
And like anyway, so that scene was madness. I mean, and everything that followed. I mean, for me, I guess that was one of the highlights. I'd say that's one of the highlights of the
for
film.
Sure. For sure.
Like that
entire like
sequence,
beat down was fantastic.
Yeah, and any other movie, by the way, it would have been a fantasy scene, like something that would have gone wrong, but not because they ran away and everything. But no, this movie went down shit creek.
Everyone, like Caliban dies in that.
Everyone dies.
X dies.
You know, I feel bad for Caliban because he sacrifices himself basically. He takes the grenades out and throws it. And let's be honest here. He didn't do a very good job. That other guy survived.
He survived. He survived. But basically, he was supposed to take Laura back into that van and transport her. But then that van didn't exist anymore.
That's true. That
was the only good thing I'd say that happened. Sorry, there was one more scene which was excellent, which is the Vegas scene.
Oklahoma.
Oh, sorry, that's that Oklahoma?
I'm sure they say Oklahoma.
No, it's because they're in the casino and all that stuff, right? And they're staying at this hotel. And there's this one, and that's what I loved about this movie is a lot of stuff. They don't like wait for a build up and all that stuff. It just happens and it's happening. Right?
Constant and kinetic.
There's this one scene where so Logan is walking back to the hotel. And suddenly the whole, the same psychic kind of freeze thing happens.
Yeah, it's the cerebral like, pulses of Charles's mind.
But it's out of control this time.
It's mad. And that whole struggle for him to get to the lift, and then he's shown going to the lift, and then entering the thing.
Oh man,
that was crazy, dude.
That first guy waiting with the gun at the door was like,
I'm so dead.
No. Oh no!
Again, a beautiful scene.
It was beautiful.
It reminded me a lot of the Quicksilver scene.
It was comedy. It was actual violent comedy.
And then like X-23 is helping him out with the injection and partnering up. So cute, but then
it was very cute.
The moment they stab him and like boom, dead bodies.
My God, and you can't sit still until that scene is, even you're like, oh my God, that was painful.
That was damn. But props to my man, Xavier, for straight doubling down and saying, I did on purpose, guys. I totally wanted to have this seizure to stop the bad
otherwise he would have been
guys.
killed. All of them would have been killed,
Straight,
that was
straight own it. Don't take your medication. Whatever. I'm going to do whatever. He
was so good. He was so candid in this film. That was great,
excellent. Man. He actually did, when he was ranting and raving the first time we see him, actually went ahead and cut a Taco Bell promo.
What?
Did you hear that? When he was just like flying around in the wheelchair before Logan came and gave him the injection, he was trying to stop him, and he just started like started
whatever he's talking about.
Yeah, he just started going chalupas for $2 only and Taco Bell.
Yeah, I thought he was hearing it like
he was hearing Laura actually. So Laura, whatever she was listening from Taco Bell, because he was communicating with her.
That is awesome.
See that
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because she was running around from place to place eating food at different outings, right? And whatever she was picking up, she was translating to
catch.
him.
Listen,
that's a solid Easter egg.
Naveen, you've done it.
Yeah,
you won the episode.
You won the episode.
Professor.
Yeah, that's great. There were a lot of these Easter eggs, though. I really wanted to kind of pick up on. I mean, one of them was I don't know if you remember when he takes Xavier to the bathroom, and they're just showing the outline, they're showing the whole stall, and there was a QR code on the screen.
Like
it's on the wall of the thing, and it's just got Hypno written on it. It's got a QR code. I was like, dude,
another Easter egg that I'm really doubtful about, though.
Okay.
Like you see the samurai sword.
That is the
but
one
that's
from
not the same
Wolverine.
timeline, though.
It is the same timeline.
It is not.
Oh, here we go.
Because
I'll tell you why
the Wolverine happened after the 2006. Okay, 2023 in the Wolverine.
Right.
And this 2029 after the new timeline.
Yeah, but here's why it did happen. It's because if you see Days of Future Past, young Hank says the thing about time is that time is immutable. You may cast a stone into a river, it'll cause a few ripples, but it'll ultimately remain still again. Which is why in this movie they're still referring to Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, the New York thing is
they're still referring to Statue of Liberty. They're still referring to things that have happened, like the cage match and all that stuff. Technically, a lot of those things wouldn't have happened. But I think what has happened is the only few things that they managed to save was they saved the mansion and they saved the world from Sentinels. But I still think a lot of the events still took place because different versions of them were still. So the Wolverine could have well happened because the sword is there.
I mean, it's just a day in the life of Logan at this point,
Yeah,
might as well.
But then again, like, see, this might be true. But then again, they bring back all the characters at the end of Future Past.
Sure.
Like they're dead, but they're alive now, and here they're dead again.
So here but now you have a good enough reason for them to be dead because they were alive to begin with to kill them off when Xavier has this whole mental breakdown. So it makes sense in the weirdest way. I mean, we have to give a lot of leeway to these guys. But then if you have done 9 films about the same bunch of characters, I give you that respect. You're fine.
Yeah, I forgot about all the other movies. When I started watching this movie, this is the best X-Men movie, hands down.
Yeah,
I
think between First Class, X-Men 2, and this, I think those are 3 of my favorite. They're all good for different reasons. Like Logan is definitely a film that I was just talking to you guys about before we entered here. I was like, this movie feels like I don't know if we're in the golden age right now of superhero films because we have gone through all the really bad stuff to kind of get here, or are we just now seeing the post effect of we did have a Lego Batman that just came out, which is basically just making fun of the entire genre, like the tropes of the genre. We have a Deadpool which also does the same thing, and now we have Logan, which is like not at all a super. It's not conventional at all. There's no major third act like end of the world scene.
I'm about to blow your mind away, Tejas.
Yeah.
What if this is just how comics are? Think about it. It used to be like this, all cheesy and stuff. Then it became self-referential, and then everybody forgot any of that happened and went straight fiction. And said these are just good human stories.
I mean that's the great thing about this film.
The story of the hero becoming the hero is no more like in demand. People don't care
nobody
about
wants the origin story anymore. But they actually, in fact, this is quite the opposite of that. This is the end of the
and that was so compelling.
And that was the most compelling. I think because now people want to see. Now that they have powers, what are the ways that, how long can this go on, right? And this movie kind of answers that question perfectly. Let's talk about the ending of the film and how this whole thing concludes.
Just before it ends was one of, if not, I think it's my favorite scene. For sure.
Which one is that?
So the professor, the doctor who's been
Dr. Xander Rice,
Dr. Xander Rice,
which is crazy, right? Because he kills. I don't know what his relation is to. I think it is to the Apocalypse movie, right?
So
in Apocalypse,
his son dies.
Right? And then that post-credit sequence has them, taking the vials.
Correct. So he put the serum into his body, hacked all the other guys. The kids are almost out. It's a hostage situation. It's all very tense.
And
this guy, the bad guy, is going to have his turn now. He's going to start giving the
monologue.
exposition, the monologue.
I love
Why
that.
have I done all of the things that I have done?
Yeah.
Well, you see,
Boom! He's dead.
Wolverine takes a bloody pistol out.
A gun! And he shoots him.
Ends him straight to the head,
Yeah.
mid-sentence.
I loved that.
And
Zero F's given.
gets the other guy's hand. The shoots that dude's hand off, and everyone is in shock. I start to laugh so hard.
Yeah, same.
Because it's my favorite assassination scene after Burn After Reading, where you know Brad Pitt dies.
yeah.
That is the best thing. That's the only other time
It was so like the Departed kind of vibe,
yeah,
you know?
And so that time was the first time I laughed so hard at somebody being shot, and Brad Pitt died with a smile on his face because
exactly.
he's going to explain himself
When he comes out of the closet.
It's amazing. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
Like
and
Pulp Fiction, he turns around.
Yeah,
shoots
It's
him.
really like that. It's that
Shoots the
this
other
movie
guy.
felt very Tarantino-esque.
Yeah, it
and
had
then,
that level of complete, utter
Gore, yeah.
shock violence. You
And
know?
that's exactly what I was
this
talking about.
Was amazing.
There was no
That
build-up,
it
nothing.
Just
Yeah.
rolled straight on. We didn't have a moment to take it in.
Yeah.
We didn't have like explanation or this is a comic book trope. We remember we said he wouldn't use guns. None of that is true. He is Logan. He is a survivor.
he's all out
do
of
what he
shits to
do.
give at this point.
Yeah.
It's like
I think that was basically it. He
Yeah.
had zero shits to give. Like
But
zero
that's the
fucks.
point. That's
and
it.
that chase sequence
And it was so
also,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that chase sequence, one of my favorite scenes, because what happens is I always admire the beast angle of Wolverine's personality.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? He's
The
a mad.
berserker
He's
vibe,
crazy. He goes bonkers and he kills people left and center. So when he takes the serum and he starts running, there's a scene where he jumps on one guy, kills him, and then takes his body support to jump on the other guy and kill him.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Amazing.
I was
and
just
you know
like,
what's so funny? In that scene, he does one of the moves that X-23 does, like, you know, with that flip
Yeah, with
above
the
the
flip,
head.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's where she gets it from.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
I
It's a
love
DNA
that.
code, yeah.
And you know what's actually really funny is like both the main villains, like not counting that the guy who gets killed by the new X-Men or whatever.
Yeah.
But both of the villains just get shot in the head and die.
It's so good though.
that was a little
X-24.
too campy though. The way he dies.
No, but I loved. I
using
loved
all the elements. It was like it was
Oh,
good.
that other guy. What's
Yeah,
his name?
yeah.
I can't remember his name.
okay.
Donald Pierce.
Yeah.
No, so I just think that, you know, for X-24, even the way he's
The
dispatched.
look on that guy's face when he got shot was so good, man.
It was great.
He was
Like
so
she
shocked.
basically, and you know, he tells her, he's like, you know when, and I don't know if he's referring to using the adamantium bullet for himself or for
himself. He was referring to himself.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
at that point, who
knows when?
Who
None
knows?
of us know
because you
when.
know that
Yeah.
guy exists. He's coming back or whatever, and you know, she just like, boom, straight, and he basically impales Logan onto
a bark, yeah.
Shit.
Awful.
And like, you just think that this is it, this is the end, and again, in a random shock value moment, they just blow his head off. Like, she just shoots his head off with an adamantium bullet, which is just insane.
I still don't understand how that works though.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't.
But let's say it does.
Let's
Let's
say
say
it for
it does.
all intents and purposes,
Yeah.
it totally
because
does.
in Origins he got 2 adamantium bullets inside his head and he's still alive.
Yeah,
that's true.
Because adamantium back then didn't work. So
Yeah.
I think it must have
Yeah.
been. It
Now
must
it's
have been some kind of
stronger dose of
changer
adamantium.
bullet.
now it's
something
all
like-
radioactive
But it seemed like an
adamantium.
explosive bullet or something like that, because
Yeah,
it
a
literally
skull,
just
yeah.
like takes his entire head off.
That's
right?
that's what it looks like when you get your head shot.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's actually how it looks.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that it's so funny because
Not that I've shot people's heads open.
But this guy, I mean, like, he was clearly an inferior version of Logan, because he just had the mad rage, and when he dies, he's just like, oh, well, I'm dead now.
Yeah, because he didn't learn anything,
Yeah,
right?
zero
He
learnings.
lost the other time. He
Children, this is your lesson for the day.
learn from your mistakes.
Be born in the 1800s and live through it.
Yeah.
Live
Live through it.
196 years
Yeah.
and emotionally 242
Your
years.
friends will
Correct.
die in the plague and the World War, but don't care about them.
Yeah, that's
No,
fine.
because you need to know how to kill people.
And also, yeah, it doesn't matter. Basically, Logan has seen his friends die like 2-3 times over. Like, that's
Minimum.
the worst.
Yeah.
Oh my, like twice in one timeline and then again in the second one.
Yeah, and generally
Yeah,
other
does
people
he
have
go
died,
around
so.
introducing himself like, "Hey Logan, you died in the last lifetime"?
Yes. Amazing.
Like,
also, what
so good.
really shocked me is that they actually killed him.
Yeah. So
I could
let's talk
not
about that.
believe
I didn't
that.
believe that. So we all knew this was going to be his swan song. We knew this was going to be his last film, but I thought there might be a way for them to kind of end it without him, like, basically riding off into the sunset.
Yeah, that's what I thought would happen.
Yeah.
He'd ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
That'd be it. It'd
And
be
it'll
like,
be it.
I'm going to take the Sunseeker on my own without Charles and leave. Like, I thought maybe that
But
would
you know
happen.
what? There's no life for him like that. Because Logan, despite, being a loner and stuff like that, he's only lived and survived for so long because he feels like he has something in it. And he had the perfect thing, which is his daughter now. I love
He's
that
got
one line.
I
love that one
legacy.
line which, his Gabriella, that the girl's mother, nurse says, he's like, she may not be my child, but I love her, and you may not love her, but she is your child. I love that. That was so good.
Superb
that was
line.
excellent. And at the end, it's this really, he's impaled. He's obviously dying from his wounds and things that he cannot heal again. And it's just at that moment where both of them kind of realize, like, she realizes she is a child.
Yeah.
She can't be this, badass forever.
She says daddy and everything.
She says it, dude, and she says it, and I died, dude.
And
like,
she straight cries, man.
I cried like a couple of times in this movie.
That's a real kid cry.
That's a kid cry.
Snot running down her nose.
It was a real kid
no stopping
crying.
any of that.
And for him also, like, finally saying, I finally understand what it is, what it could have been like to have a family and things like that. Because everything that he's wanted was really not his to begin with. His romance with, with Jean Grey or whatever it is, that was not his. I mean, he had his father.
In fact, Xavier says that as well.
Yeah.
He's like, enjoy this.
Yeah.
Remember that this is yours for now.
Dude, in fact,
when we're pretending to be a little family, meeting another family, enjoy this moment.
And then he gets killed.
Yeah, and you know what? That, I think apart from this moment is when Logan is burying Charles and him crying over that was also another moment that really broke me. Because
that was
when
awesome.
Charles dies, it's so like, oh my god, this happened. I couldn't, and then it's the explosive scene after that. The only time you actually take notice of it is when he's just so finally fed up. He's just like, god damn it, this guy also is gone now. And not of like, natural causes, like he was killed, right at the very end of his life. That sucks. And so when he cries and he goes into this whole fit, he tries to break his own car. I mean, that was really disappointing. I mean, like, it was really heartbreaking. And then this last scene when he finally dies, and that moment when she's buried him, takes the cross and turns aside, makes it an X.
I don't care how cheesy that looks, guys.
That was not cheesy.
It was cheesy.
It was cheesy.
It did not feel cheesy
on paper
at all for me. I don't know why it did not feel cheesy at all.
But Naveen's right. It was a cheesy thing to do.
On paper, it's cheesy, but when it counts with all the feels that you have accumulated over 2 hours.
They earned the shit out of that, dude, for me. Like, no, as in, like, literally 18 years of that. Like, he is, like, officially the last of the X-Men.
Yeah.
And, like, for them to kind of acknowledge that this guy was, like, he was an X-Man, Like, I felt that. I was just like, yes, this is right. Yeah. And, like, I mean, why? Because
those kids love him, right? They trimmed his little
exactly.
His beard.
And I would have hated it if, that one kid with the Wolverine yellow costume, if he put his toy on the grave, I would have been like, that's shit.
Okay,
right?
that's true.
That's a slap in my face for not putting him in the actual uniform.
You straight want us to buy this toy. I knew it,
But the fact that she did that was way more like,
it was a cute thing, them cutting the facial hair off.
Yeah, that was so cool.
That was a solid story, like, script writing moment, man. That won.
We could have a totally different discussion about those kids, what their powers are, who they come from,
right?
what they are.
Because that main kid was like a Jean Grey kid. He could have well been...
Dude, he was like
Scott.
Straight up running the game.
Yeah, he was Scott.
He was talking to somebody else and everyone's like, Alpha Flight?
Yeah, exactly, dude.
And
because they were all going to Canada,
Yeah. Where they have weird
funnily enough, Wolverine is from.
Yeah.
No, Justin Trudeau.
Immigrants are welcome.
Immigrants
are
welcome.
He would have,
which is like a perfect analogy now, man.
I mean, they've retconned the hell out of this. They stopped. It's same with Deadpool, right?
Yeah.
Because they're both Weapon X. It's so...
He's Weapon 11, yeah.
So, recently, it's been stuff like, my dad was in the military in America. Yeah. And I am Deadpool.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, you aren't. You're Canadian.
You're Canadian, yeah. They're both Canadian.
Yeah, they're both Canadian. Yeah. And Deadpool makes fun of it. He's in one of the comics. He's like, I am American.
Yeah.
Canadian. So it's easy to forget this.
One of the best guys, man.
But really, I think it's kind of cool that she's going back to where he came from.
Exactly, I love that. I mean, they were both basically across the border.
Yeah. Different borders.
Different borders?
Yeah, different borders.
Yeah.
But she really made a stride.
Because she burst into Spanish and I was like, that's what I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I love that.
Superb.
But do you think
that was deliberate, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, because even like her decision to be quiet all this while and then start talking, that was a comic effect, obviously. And
but it was great. I mean, she wasn't mute. Like, we all knew that she's not.
We all knew that, yeah.
But
if she has to carry the mantle of Wolverine, she better talk.
So let's take another break, okay? And let's quickly talk about what's left in the game for Wolverine, what's going to happen next.
Hey Dilnaz, have you tried sex toys?
No, I've not tried sex toys. But I've tried sex.
Sid, why are you asking me this weird question? Who talks about sex like that?
We do.
Really? We do.
We also talk about dating, condoms, and orgasms.
On our show X and Y, where we have a casual conversation about sex and relationships in India.
X and Y is available every week on Stitcher, YouTube, the IVM podcast app, or any other podcasting app you prefer.
So I guess we do talk about sex. Like that.
Cool. We're back. We're talking about Wolverine. And what's next? Wolverine's dead at the end of this. Logan is dead, at least.
Logan is dead.
X-23, I can see them... Like, she's currently Wolverine in the comic books.
Yeah.
So, I can totally see them taking the mantle forward with her. Except the girl is too young. Unless we see a very young story of her.
Or we get a really awesome montage going.
Or time jump.
Yeah, but then...
Straight montage,
but here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. They would have to recast... And the amount of emotion that has gone to this girl, I could totally see this girl. Now, if she takes over and becomes Wolverine, everyone in the world will be fine with it. Why? Because this movie is amazing, right?
It's done.
They won it.
Yeah.
They won the transition game. Think about it, right?
Correct.
But now if they recast, it's going to be another problem altogether, right? I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine, but everyone's eyes are on this young girl who's made the mark she needed to. Here's my other thing. In Apocalypse, they very easily had the chance to recast. The moment he comes out of that cage, it could have been anybody else, and that would have been the perfect way to do it, right? But they missed that opportunity. Now what did they do next?
Well, they just do what executives always do and just come up with a different franchise, like X-Force.
X-Force
X-Force
I think is going to happen.
Or something of that nature. And make up a
Canadian
whole bunch
X-Men
of...
group as well, right?
Yeah, that's
Alpha Flight.
That's the one.
Correct.
And they'll just say random things. And they might keep her in one of them.
Yeah.
But I envisage a clean break from Wolverine.
Exactly. I was thinking, here's a perfect time now to reboot the entire X-Men universe. Like, straight up, from ground up, and start again. But this time, do it with... And, they want to make Mr. Sinister the villain.
Yeah.
They can do that. So they can start fresh, have a great villain at the end, and just remake the X-Men. Leave behind the Apocalypse timeline.
But I'm kind of curious. At the end of Apocalypse, they all are wearing their spandex and they're looking good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to see what these guys do after that.
But I'm also... Apocalypse was so bad. See, here's the thing, right? If Apocalypse was even half as good a film as Logan is, I would have been like, now tell me the story of these characters.
Exactly.
But I care more about those little kids at the end of this movie, where they went. I don't care. Man, nobody wants Cyclops to have the movie he deserves more than I do. Like, I'm a huge Cyclops fan. Okay, for me, he is the leader of the X-Men. He always has been.
He's always been,
Yeah, and he's the smartest. Like, there's a reason why he's the leader.
Because he gets the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
that
does.
Too?
He does get the most.
He gets the most. And, but my thing is like, come on, man. Do a good movie with Cyclops and all these. I like the Cyclops kid. I'll be honest. I like that guy.
He was good.
He was good.
Sheridan.
Yeah, Ty Sheridan. He was fine.
Even James Marsden for that matter.
Yeah.
James Marsden deserved it, man. That's my point.
Yeah.
Damn it. Anyway.
You're always up on that James Marsden pedestal of yours.
Last but not least, who could play the next Logan? What are your picks? Do you have any thoughts on this? I've spoken about it on the episode
people keep
before.
throwing Tom Hardy's name all the time.
I've also
I disagree with that.
Forget it. Just
I
go
like
another
Tom Hardy.
generation, man. Like we've discussed, the guy has been around for 18 years. Give it a break. Go with some kid born in the 90s. Let's go young now.
Oh, like super young.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because what we've realized is the problem with franchise movies is the weight of the franchise. And that's what happened with Apocalypse eventually. If you really think about it, First Class was a breath of fresh air because you gotta start on a fresh slate.
That's true.
And take it in the direction you want to go.
And Days of Future Past
was supposed to be the home run, basically. The one that...
It was okay. I'm still not a big fan of that movie. A lot of people are.
Apocalypse was supposed to tie it up with a final cash grab, really.
You know why they screwed it up? Because that whole franchise for me should have been... it was, and it should have been about... James McAvoy and Fassbender. It should have been about Xavier and Magneto.
Exactly.
Instead, they introduced a third character which made no sense.
Who was terrible.
Because in Days of Future Past, they come together.
It'd be different if he was like forgivable somehow.
Yeah.
But Apocalypse was the worst.
Yeah, because and the movie starts well as well, right? Like it starts with that whole Magneto kind of retiring in this whole. That was a great scene, and that felt like Logan quality. Like like scene.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, if they just went with anyway, so that franchise is ruined.
I think they should stop giving so much footage to Jennifer Lawrence in every movie.
And she doesn't want to be there. We can all see.
Yeah, she's not even
she
wearing the
doesn't
makeup.
want to wear the
She's like,
makeup. And you know, I like Jennifer Lawrence in Hunger Games. She's excellent in that.
But let her do what she wants to do.
X-Men, she's
she doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want to be there. It's so clear. So what I'm trying.
That's half the movies now. I watched Jennifer Lawrence in all the movies. In Passengers, I didn't feel like she was.
I didn't see
supposed
Passengers,
to be
but I'm glad I didn't.
It's horrible.
No, so what I'm saying is, what Fox has seen is that Deadpool works.
Yeah.
Because it's a singular voice.
Yeah.
Doing a singular character. In an already developed, expanded universe.
Yeah.
There's no need to constantly dig into it and broaden it and make it bigger, because that's where you're losing people.
Yeah.
They're getting crushed by the weight of everything.
Yeah.
And what we really have been looking at is how each of these studios is looking at their comic book
this is something you were
properties.
talking
Their
about earlier.
portfolios are so different.
Yeah.
Like Marvel has locked down on
Action comedy.
On action comedy, family fun.
Yeah.
All links well together. Great cast, great energy, great vibe.
CGI. Yeah.
And then DC has, we're gonna go dark with the best Magnum characters. And somehow slog through it and take your money anyway.
Yeah, that's true. They had the highest grossing film last year.
There's the light, there's the dark, and then now what does Fox do? I mean, they're stuck. They went a certain way, and now they're being left behind.
Fox jumpsuit.
Kind of. What they do is they jump over the UA rating, the PG rating, go straight into the A rating, and say, you know what our movies are? Our movies are real.
Our movies are R-rated.
You want violence? I'll give you violence. You want humor? I'll give you dirty humor. If you want a random sex scene, sure, we got that too. You know.
Yeah, and I think that might be the way.
Somebody else.
Like I don't know if you remember that imprint called the Max Marvel Max, right?
The Marvel Max imprint. Yeah.
So that imprint had Alias, it had Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
It had
Punisher, Deadpool, Fury.
And these were great kind of. I feel like that's a great space maybe Fox could do. I mean Marvel could do with Fox. And I'm just trying to think of now who are the characters that Fox are. Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
But my only thing was I didn't see Fantastic Four becoming an A-rated thing because it always felt like family fun.
It is a family,
how do they do that?
that's the challenge. How do they do that? What can they do with it? And if they pull this off, hats off. That's a game changer right there.
Because they're on a high now.
That could bring them into this picture where it's two. And they could be the third.
That's true. Exactly. They've got Deadpool and they've got Wolverine and they have Fantastic Four. So a bit of a motley crew.
But they got people, huh? They got some people.
What if they just, their main guys, which is the X-Men, do the X-Men as an R-rated thing?
Yes, but that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's what they're opening up for now. Like maybe we should...
Like Riverdale this.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all teenagers now. Get them to be horny teenagers.
So funny. Somebody just messaged me saying, oh my god. I was like, what happened? He's like, Jughead kissed Betty. Oh my god. Are you guys watching this? I was like, is this such a thing?
Guys, Riverdale spoilers.
sorry. Yeah. Jughead kisses Betty.
Yeah,
I always thought Jughead was asexual. Like that's what
they did in the comics.
In the comics, they said that he's asexual. And I was like, that's cool. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And that's the thing. So they can make these kids like these Snapchatting, tour de force sort of, we're going to Instagram this and tie brands in on our own in our movie, meta kind of crazy people.
I didn't see much product placement in the movie apart from the limo.
Yeah.
And probably
Sony.
the yacht.
Yeah, Sony.
Yeah.
The phone.
Oh, the Sony phone. Right, of course.
They always do Sony with Fox for some reason.
Yeah.
That's weird, but
I guess.
that happens.
Yeah.
I think that, hey, you know what would be really cool? X-Mansion without Professor X. Let them run it.
Yeah.
Wow. It'll be
but Cyclops has kind of done that so many times. Cyclops has done, then Storm did
but
it.
them as teenagers.
Yeah.
As the young team.
Yeah.
Oh, that could be cool.
That would be cool.
That could be cool.
I want to, they could have, where Xavier's gone, to Genosha or something like that. That would be cool.
Yeah. He's gone away.
That happens a lot in the comics.
And we're on our own. And we throw
because
excellent
Project
party.
X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Project X-Men.
Yeah, Project X-Men. I have one last thing to say, is that Hugh Jackman said this is his last film, but he said that if Marvel ever managed to find a way to bring Wolverine into the Marvel Universe, the current Marvel Universe, he would do it. Do you think that would happen?
No. and they shouldn't touch it.
They did it with Spider-Man. Before you knew it, he was in Civil War.
Yeah, but they need to get everybody in then, right? Because X-Men without Wolverine is kind of weird.
It's happened. Wolverine's been a part of the Avengers for a very long time.
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
that the whole roster of actors over there is too many. Like, to add someone who's new.
But dude, what would make you go watch a Marvel movie more than saying Wolverine is in this one? Dude, Spider-Man did that for Civil War. Half the reason why Civil War is a huge hit is because people went to see Spider-Man in the movie and they came out watching a greater film altogether.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be amazing. I mean, obviously, I don't
if
feel
they
it's
do it right,
happening.
then probably. But then he's too big a name.
I don't know. And let's face it. He's done it so well. He set it up so nicely. He knows he can't do better than this.
He can't. Yeah.
Why does he need to? Yeah. And they have to really throw some money at him.
But you know, if anyone could do it, it would be Marvel, because Marvel did Civil War like in a way that exceeded my expectations. Like, I didn't think it was possible to tell a story with so many characters and still have like meaning and soul and shit like that. And they did it. So, I mean, you can't put anything past them. Well, that was an episode.
It was wonderful, though.
Let us know your thoughts on Logan. There was so many things we still didn't get to talk about. But just let us know what you guys thought. You can mail us, contactgeekfruit@gmail.com. You can find us on our website, www.geekfruit.in. You can find us on all social media. That's @geekfruithq. I'm on Twitter as Tejas Mehta. Sid, are you on Twitter?
Yeah.
What is your handle?
Siddhant Mehta 87.
87.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And Navin?
I'm no_Rona.
Okay, cool. Noronha, right. So, you can find us on Twitter and let us know your thoughts. And thanks, guys, for being on the episode. This is a cool one.
It was awesome.
Good one, right?
Yeah, man.
Okay, cool. We'll see you guys next week, where we're talking about Ian McKellen. Hello, you nerds. Or in this case, all you younglings out there. I never really put much thought into my education, and while I'm totally fine with where I ended up, sometimes I wish I could have skipped doing an economics degree and did something perhaps a little nerdier. Or even useful. That's why you should check out the On Course podcast, where hosts Akhil and Alicia help you prepare for an education abroad that you can be proud of. I'm not saying economics isn't useful, but hey, if that's your thing, they're going to tell you about how to apply and even get financing. Check out the On Course podcast every Monday and thank me later, you nerds. But seriously, economics?
Hey man, just help me out, man. I need some podcasts, man. I haven't had a fix in a week. Just need some.
Don't you worry about it. I got podcasts galore for you, man. Just go to ivmpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna check it out.